What is up, Niner gang? Hope everybody is doing swell tonight. And thank you guys for being here. Thanks for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. I didn't get to put up a stream yesterday. I went on with Ted from Ted Talks Ball. You may know him as Ted H Signal Caller on Twitter. So if you guys haven't had a chance to go check that out, go check that out. I might put a copy of the stream up on my channel. If not, then I'm going to put up some clips, man. But I had a good time over there with Ted. Started out with some technical difficulties, so just kind of scroll a little bit past that. Once we start getting things going and the technical difficulties were out of the way, we had a pretty good time and some pretty good conversation, man. So shout out to Ted for having me on yesterday. That was a good time. Didn't get to put a stream on my channel. So here we go, man. Here we are. We get to go dive deeper into the 49ers Cardinals and get to talk some 49ers Seahawks as well, man. So let me give a shout out to everybody in the chat real quick. I appreciate everybody who's in here and going to be here. Got Brian Culp, as always, one of the great supporters of the channel. Says, Go Niners beat Seattle. We got Damian Lee in here. Thanks for being here as always, Damian Lee. Really appreciate it. Jesus M. I'm assuming it's Jesus, I think. But yeah, thanks for being here. Bear Tribe, thanks for being here. This is my little brother, Ralphie. What's up, man? Hope you're doing good. He says, not a surprise if you compare it to preseason, but just the road getting there was insane. Yeah, we're going to get into that, man. We're going to dissect thoughts before the season and how we've finished out the regular season so far, being the 49ers, man. So we're going to talk about predictions preseason to where we are now and how it's ended up for the 49ers. And Eric Wallace as well. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. So yeah, man, if anybody, as always, if you guys have any specific comments or questions for me, and then if we end up having anybody that wants to call in, let me know. But if you guys have any special comments or questions for me, throw 4 flame emojis in your comments so that I know that it's specifically for me. But yeah, please like and subscribe as always. That would really help out the channel to get more views, get it across more platforms to more people. That would be really great, man. Real quick, something to report from practice today. Kevin Givens, defensive lineman for the 49ers, was a full go today in practice. So that is really awesome, really encouraging, on pace to where most of us expected. So yeah, he should be here for 49ers and Seahawks, the first playoff game of the 2022 season. Banks and Greenlaw were limited, but they should be good to go by Saturday by the playoff game. So really looking forward to that. I think Greenlaw is going to be a huge crucial part of the 49ers' success going into the playoffs, rolling through the playoffs like that. So counting on him to make a full recovery, but all these guys are really, really vital to how this offense and defense runs. So looking forward to those guys, man. I'm glad to hear that they're all doing well and on pace to be here for the playoffs. Let me get your guys' thoughts on that. And real quick, we're going to go to the next topic that Bear Tribe brought up, because the 49ers, they close out the season 13-4. And this is exactly, you guys could go back, check all the receipts, go back to my first videos when we started the season. When preseason came around, I predicted 13-4, maybe 12-5. I know some people thought I'd be a homer, that was a homer prediction. I didn't think so, man. I really thought the 49ers had really high potential. I felt like they had stepped up their game. One of the issues we had in the playoffs and last year was secondary, and that's been a trend over the past few years. Even in the 2019 Super Bowl, you go out and you get a guy like Charvarius Ward, pretty big signing, probably the biggest signing of the offseason. But yeah, man, I'd seen the potential with this team, and really Trey Lance was supposed to start to be the starting quarterback for the season. That didn't go as planned. So the prediction was for Trey Lance to be here the whole season. Just luckily for us as fans and really the 49ers as well, that once Trey Lance went down, we didn't really skip a beat. We had a little hiccups in the road with Jimmy Garoppolo, but for the most part, he kept things afloat as well. So glad we have such a really good team that no matter who was at quarterback this year, we knocked out those wins for the most part, and we are where we are. So I want to know real quick in the comments if you guys could please drop what your guys' record prediction was for the regular season before the season began or right when the season began. Because, like I said, I predicted 13-4. I guess you could throw my prediction out the window if you want, because that was for the Trey Lance era, and it ended up not turning out that way just yet. So take it how you will, man. Let me check some of the comments real quick. Like I said, 4 Flames in the comment / question. If it's for me, he says, we got Eric Wallace here, says, I'm so excited for Saturday. I know it's not likely. Hey, man. Okay, guys. So Eric Wallace, if you guys don't know, he's a Seahawks fan, and I always appreciate him. He's very supportive of the channel of his division rival, the 49ers. So he's always here, and shout out to him, man. I'm happy for him that his Seahawks made it to the playoffs, because that always warms the heart, right? So yeah, Eric Wallace, congratulations. It doesn't sound like he's too confident about the Seahawks winning this weekend. And we're going to talk about it, because actually the 49ers, I'm going to put it down here at the bottom, or I already did. Pro Football Talk ranks the 49ers number 1 in power rankings for the Super Bowl. So do you guys think the 49ers are going to the Super Bowl, or is it too early to tell? I did put it as a poll question on the video, so if you guys could tap into that and just let me know your guys' overall thoughts. But yeah, man, I think with Pro Football Talk, their prediction, and with Eric Wallace kind of lacking in his confidence as well, I think it is for good reason. I'm not trying to knock anybody, but I really do think it's with good reason, man. This 49ers team has been steamrolling. Say what you will about, I know we've talked about it with, defenses that Brock Purdy has faced, being, having injuries, and outside of that, not facing great defenses in the league. At the end of the day, these are still NFL teams, NFL defenses. This dude is a rookie, and they're just steamrolling through to the playoffs, man. So I think that's with good reason, good faith, that they make those bold predictions like that. And Eric Wallace, good luck, man. Hope you guys hope we have a great game this coming Saturday. And yeah, let me know if anybody wants me to throw the link in to call in into the chat. But yeah, I asked you guys that question. Now here's the thing about this 49ers and Cardinals game, and really even going back to the Raiders game. Do you guys think the 49ers were pacing themselves? Because I think it's been looking that way. The 49ers go and they whoop some ass against the Commanders. And I thought, that was probably around the time that you should start rotating guys in and out against the Raiders and Cardinals to get them some reps as well. The guys that are deeper in the depth chart, get them a few reps before the playoffs start going. And not, oh man, I forgot to turn off my notifications. Damn it. My bad, guys. But anyways, back to it. That threw me off. Yeah, the game we had against the Raiders feels like a complete flop, man. That shit was so weird. I felt the good thing was that with Brock Purdy at quarterback, I felt really, really confident that we were going to come back and win the game. At no point in time did I feel like we were losing the game, even though we were down 10 points. I felt like, okay, well, the 49ers, they're kind of taking things slow. That was my thoughts on it. As well as starting out versus the Cardinals, the first 1.5 quarters were like that. And the 49ers started kind of separating themselves right before the half with scoring touchdowns and extending the lead. So then, after that, the 49ers really start to get going in the second half. I think they get kind of surprised that these teams were actually kind of competing with them, that they weren't just going to lay down and take this loss. So do you guys think the 49ers were pacing themselves? Because I think that's what caused a lot of issues. I think the 49ers were in the playoff mindset already and just kind of ready to get there. Um, but yeah, there's so much that can be said about it. I'm going to go and check the comments real quick and see what you guys have to say. Again, if it's specifically for me, please, please, please throw 4 flames in your comment / question. That way I know it's for me, because I like right now, I see a bunch of letters is all I see. It's hard to sift through all of it. Let me see. Guayaba says, I had doubt creeping the minute Robbie Gould missed the field goal and then they won the coin flip. Yeah. The good thing about it too, because he's talking about the Raiders game. So at the end of the Raiders game, you know, Robbie Gould misses what would have been the game-winning field goal. Instead, we end up going to overtime with the Raiders. The Raiders win the coin flip, right? And I felt like at that point, the 49ers were just on a hot one. And D'Amico Ryans had made those adjustments where I felt I didn't understand why he wasn't bringing pressure and playing more press man earlier in the game, because when you when they were putting pressure on Stidham to sit in the pocket and make quick decisions, it was showing that he wasn't as capable as maybe Carr would have been, or really as capable as he should be for the Raiders to win. So I didn't see why D'Amico Ryans waited till so long. I felt like he didn't make the adjustments to create pressure till like the last 2 drives of the game. That's when we started shutting the Raiders offense down and the 49ers were scoring, right? So at that point, I felt like he'd made that adjustment, and we were basically going to win the game regardless at that point. But I feel you. I feel you. You know, nothing's a given. It was still a very close game. Unfortunately, that's pretty embarrassing. Guayaba says, Nine Again Wolfcast. Bosa said it. They weren't taking the Raiders seriously before the game. Exactly. Yeah, you're right. That's actually one of the talking points that I had in past videos. Bosa admitted that the 49ers did take the Raiders lightly, way more lightly than they should have been. They took it for granted, and they said they wouldn't do the same against the Cardinals, but they still started out slow, you know, come out first play of the game is a touchdown on a trick play. Even though it was in double coverage, you know, I have no understanding of why that should happen in double coverage. If you let him catch it, fine, but you got to make that tackle. So Tayshawn Gibson, I know you got your interceptions and stuff like that, but tackle that guy, man. You were in the area. We got David McNiner in here too. Says, "What's up, buddy? Hey, bro. Hope you're doing good tonight." And YTC Productions. Hey, Giants fan. We got the New York Giants fan in here. Says, "Sup, everyone. First time here on Wolfcast." Hey, thanks, bro. I appreciate it, man. I know YTC. We always chatted up and stuff like that, but I gave him some flack because they had a show after the 49ers and Cardinals game. And like I said, he's the Giants fan. So I told him, well, what the hell, man? Why did you rest your starters against the Eagles? The Eagles ended up beating the Giants in a really close game, even though the Giants rested their starters. They played, I think it was actually their third string quarterback ended up playing against the Eagles, plus the rest of the second string team. And they still had a chance to beat the Eagles at the end there. If they beat the Eagles, we are the number 1 seed in the NFC. We get the first week bye. So I was really pissed off that the Giants did that. Now I really just want them to get their asses kicked. Sorry, YTC, but that really ground my gears. That really pissed me off, man. I'm serious. Yeah, like I said, if anybody wants to call in, let me know. Continue to give me your guys' thoughts. I did feel like the game plan going into the 49ers Cardinals was very vanilla, very basic, which is probably a smart thing to do. That was something that we've consistently talked about here for the past few weeks. Hey, Kyle Shanahan, do enough to win the game, of course. So we can have a chance at the number 1 seed, but let's save some of that trickery, some of that creativity, creative juices. Let's save some of that for the playoffs where it's really going to count, man. Because the 49ers, they've already shown that they can come from being the last seed in the playoffs and steamrolled through. It was a very difficult road. Now, them being the second seed, I think it bodes very well at the 49ers' chances for the Super Bowl, man. So I'm really pumped up about that. I do think the game plan, it kind of caused a little bit of worry there in the beginning, making it a close game. But I just this 49er team is way too superior over the teams that it's been playing. So yeah, I think regardless, we're going to overcome a team that what's the word for it? We're superior over. I thought I clicked on this comment. So we got Brian Colpin here says, my season prediction was 12-5. I thought Raiders could possibly have been a loss. Yeah, I hated to admit it at the beginning of the season because there was all this hype around the Raiders. All the NFL analysts were like, "Oh my God, the AFC West, right? The Chiefs, the Broncos, the Raiders, the Chargers, that they were going to be the division to beat." It turns out the Chargers were going to be riddled with injury, and it turns out the Broncos were just a complete flop on the season, man. So the Raiders, that's another one. They're just the Raiders. They're like cursed no matter what, no matter who they bring in, Devontae Adams, it doesn't matter. They're just trash. But yeah, so I hate to admit it, but I did think it was going to be a very tough game against the Raiders. It turned out to be that way, but for different reason. I thought, I've always thought that Derek Carr was a quarterback that kind of balanced the Raiders out and gave them a chance to beat any team, kind of like a little bit of a net positive quarterback. Then you add Devontae Adams. They got a really good running back in Josh Jacobs. They got Max Crosby. They got a bunch of playmakers all over the place. Even in this game, they were missing some of their crucial pieces on defense. So who knows how it would have gone if it was earlier in the season. I think if it was not as close to the playoffs as it was, I think the 49ers would have mollywopped them earlier. Like if we played the Buccaneers, I think the 49ers would have steamrolled right through them. If we would have played them when Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback, I don't know. That probably would have been a really tough game. Yeah, thanks for that, Brian. Got Cowboy Angel in here, says, yo, Uptown Saturday night, let's effing go. Hell yeah. Thanks for being here as always. Brian Culp says, I can't come on tonight, but I am here in the chat. Yeah, man. Appreciate you as always. And we got East Coast Red and Gold podcast. What's up? Hope you're doing good tonight. All you guys, appreciate it. And their prediction was mine was 14-3. Pretty close to mine as well, right? And I'm assuming that was, with Trey Lance being the quarterback. So, yeah. I want to know everybody's thoughts and feelings on the defense so far. How you guys think they've been performing of late, and do you think they're going to be better or worse going into the playoffs? I think the playoffs is when this 49ers defense is really going to show up. Like I said, Bosa admitted it. Who said it? I think it was Guayaba. Yeah, Guayaba mentioned it, how Bosa admitted that they had been taking teams lightly, like the Raiders and Cardinals. But he was specifically talking about the Raiders game and why they kind of as a defense, they kind of let it get out of hand. And so I hope, that's not going to happen in the playoffs. It's the playoff time. The 49ers, a lot of these veterans were on that Super Bowl team with the huge disappointment against the Chiefs, and they're ready for revenge, man. If there was any revenge tour, it's probably now. I know there's been Revenge Tour 2.0 or Revenge Tour 2.0, Revenge Tour 3.5 and a half. So many revenge tours, man. But I have a lot of confidence in this defense, man. One of the things was that Hufanga, everybody's been picking on him. He didn't give up the big play. He didn't give up the big touchdown this game. Really, you can say Tayshaun Gibson was that guy this time around. He got his 2 interceptions, which were pop flies. So that's up for debate on whether, that was really his play, or he was kind of just, being a safety, being in the right time, being in the right place at the right time. So, that's up for debate whether it's really a factor of whether it's his play or the defensive line uh, continuing to put that pressure on David Blows. Let me see. But yeah, I'm really confident on that. Like I said, Hafunga was one of the big worries this time around. It looks like he's taken a big look in the mirror, as well as D'Amico Ryans has been questioned about Hafunga and his play being too aggressive. And D'Amico Ryans talking about how, yeah, man, you can't be out there playing hero ball. You got to stick to your assignment, and your assignment is there for a reason. So I think Hafunga, like I said, took a look in the mirror and made adjustments to kind of not be so what is it, savvy on the trigger, I should say. But I do like one thing that I saw in this Cardinals game. I'm going to go into the comments in a second. D'Amico Ryans, one of the things that we saw in the Raiders game, like I just talked about, how he didn't make this adjustment till like the last 2 drives of the game that I noticed. Could have been a little bit more. I think it kind of had a buildup where the defense started ramping it up more and more, making more and more adjustments as the game went on against the Raiders. And this was a big talking point coming into the Cardinals game was the defensive line. D'Amico Ryans putting your players in position to be successful. One of those things is you're consistently only rushing 4 defensive linemen per play for the most part, right? And we're at a point where that wasn't causing enough pressure on the quarterback. Now, like I said earlier, Stidham, when he was uncomfortable in the pocket, you can see the effect that it had. Even on the Cardinals, when the 49ers weren't causing pressure, because I went back and looked at those plays on the interceptions by Tayshaun Gibson, and even George Odom when he got his interception, there was no pressure on the quarterback, but I felt like they were so uncomfortable from earlier plays that it caused them to be quick with it, to have to get rid of the ball quicker than they really had to. So that's the type of thing where it's going to lend itself into positivity in the future of the game as well. And I feel like in this card, D'Amico Ryans made those adjustments. We saw more pressures, more blitzes, 5 rushers, 6 rushers. We even saw cover 0 all-out blitzes against the Cardinals. You know, it wasn't a must-win game, but it was a must-win game if you wanted a chance at the number 1 seed. And so I really like that, man. They did more stunts, more runarounds for the defensive line to run up the middle from the outside. So yeah, man, I love that. I also love the guys that are stepping up right now, especially on the D line. I think there's a lot that could be said about it. You know, a lot of people, of course, they're going to mention Jordan Willis. That's a big guy. Arden Key, not Arden Key, Kerry Hyder. I'm tripping, not Arden Key. So Kerry Hyder, you know, he had that big that batted pass that led to the interception by Drake Jackson. That was badass. You know, big plays like that. T.Y. McGill got himself a sack in this game against the Cardinals. So T.Y. McGill, you know, we're gonna have Kevin Givens back, man. He's a very good player on the defensive line that we could use as soon as possible. The more guys you have in this rotation, the fresher these guys are going to be. That means the quicker they're going to be. The more rotation you can get them, the fresher they're going to be, the more pressure it's going to cause because they're going to be fresh, of course, right? I just said it. Sorry guys, I get a little repetitive sometimes, not on purpose. But yeah, Jordan Willis, who's another guy that I'm forgetting. But you guys get the point, right? You know, we got Kinlaw back. You get Armstead back, and I think it's making all the world of difference right now. But I think once we get into the playoffs, you guys are really going to see the 49ers set themselves apart because all these regular season games count towards seeding in the playoffs. But when it's a must-win game in the playoffs, you win or go home. This is when this team is really going to show up, I think, guys. Let me see. We got Lauren Lee in here, says, hey, Niner Gang Wolfcast, what's up? Things are looking good for the Niners. Hell yeah, they are. I love it. And thanks for chiming in. I really love it. Yeah, we're definitely talking about that and predictions we had before the season. Brian Culp says East Coast red and gold. Jess, what's up? Hey, call in if you can. Wolf, drop the link. Yeah, I'll drop the link right now. No pressure on anybody. If anybody does want to call in, I'll leave the link right here. Doing a solo show tonight for now. But East Coast Red and Gold podcast, go check them out. They got a really good panel over there, so you guys make sure and go check them out if you haven't already. They say the defense knows what they need to fix, and I think they've been watching my show, man, because it's kind of starting to become a weekly thing where I'm like, hey, D'Amico Ryans, you get a lot of flack on Hufanga. All the fans want to go at Hufanga and take his head off. They want to go at Diamador Lenore. I'm like, the guy who's supposed to put them in a position to be successful is D'Amico Ryans. So that's the guy I want to see the adjustments from. I've even talked about, well, maybe it's time or getting close to a time where we need to switch out the tandem of safeties, where it needs to be Jimmy Ward and Tayshawn Gibson, because those are guys that are making plays that are really good veterans. And Hufanga is still young, man. I don't want to see him get benched. He's really promising. I love his attitude. I love his work ethic. I love everything about him for the most part, but he's a little too aggressive sometimes, and he gets out of his assignment, and it leads to blown coverages. So it's a liability, which is something that we cannot afford if we have Super Bowl aspirations. So I've gone at D'Amico Ryans. I'm glad he has the right mentality for it. He doesn't shy away from the hard questions as well when he's pressed about Hufanga, when he's pressed about the lack of pressure from the defensive line, and really the 49ers' defense. Do they rely on Bosa too much? Is it too Bosa heavy? Are you putting it too much on Bosa? Because if you don't get the pressure with 4 and Bosa doesn't get home or cause a little bit of pressure, then the secondary is going to have issues. So he's been making adjustments as it goes, man. It's becoming a weekly thing where we see holes in the defense, and he comes the next week and he corrects those things as of right now. So like I said, I think they're really going to turn things up going into the playoffs. So it's going to be a whole different team overall. I think you guys are going to see, and I think we're all going to be blown away by what we see on the screen and the broadcast that day, man. So I'm really excited for it. Let me see again, guys. If anybody has a specific comment or question for me, please drop 4 flames in your comment so that I know to get to it. Other than that, it's really hard to sift through comments. East Coast Red and Gold, like I said, just gave them a shout out. They said they'll have Dwight Hicks on our show tomorrow, or on their show tomorrow. So hell yeah, go check that out, guys. Let us know what time. Drop that in the comments. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great show tomorrow. That's awesome. They've had really cool guests. Like one of the cool ones that I really liked was the Maddie Mayoko one, man, because that's one of the first people that I really started paying attention to when it came to 49ers content. I really love Maddie Mayoko's takes and his podcast that he has with NBC Sports, I think it is. So yeah, man, that was really cool. I hope one day I could get him on my show. I might wait a little while before I start bugging him, but we'll see. I got to be on game. 1 second. So what do you guys think about Lenore now, man? Because everybody was going crazy over Lenore. I was like, hey, man, you guys settle down. This guy, he's always there in coverage. That's the main thing. You want a guy that can stick to these receivers. Now, in the Raiders game, for whatever reason, he was lined up against Davante Adams, which is a guy that's way bigger than him, for one, right? 2, he's a really great receiver, probably the best receiver in the league. So you put those 2 things together against a guy who's 5'10" and pretty good in coverage. This guy's supposed to be a slot corner, and it's not going to mesh well for good coverage, I don't think, because he can be stuck on coverage on Davante Adams all you want, but once it comes to high pointing that ball and attacking the ball at the catch point, Diamador Lenore is at a huge disadvantage. Trust me, guys. I was a wide receiver. I played college football. I know what I'm talking about. I've watched a lot of football, man. it's a complete mismatch. Now, if Diamador Lenore had a little bit better timing at high pointing the ball, it can make for a better matchup. But still, at the end of the day, Davante Adams is a really great wide receiver and has that frame that's way bigger than Diamador Lenore. So that's not somebody he should be matched up on. And if he is, he should be bracketed. He should have safety help over the top or something, right? But no, a lot of these times he was one-on-one with Davante Adams. He was one-on-one. Well, he was one-on-one with Darren Waller as well, but he did have a little bit of safety help coming in from Tayshaun Gibson, I believe it was. But yeah, man, it's ridiculous that he's matched up on these guys that are way bigger than him. That's somebody that I feel like Jimmy Ward and Charvarius Ward should be matched on. Like I said, in coverage, he's right there with the receiver every time. And I feel like people have forgotten that when Stidham tried to pass to Davante Adams a few times, Diamador Lenore broke some of those passes up. He was right there every single time. And some of them Adams caught and some of them he didn't get to catch because Adams or Lenore was able to break some of those up. So give him credit where the credit is due. But he's not going to make that play all the time if the receiver's that big. So I'm really confident in him, man. He's done a pretty damn good ass job. He did give up that one touchdown play on the trick play to start out the game against the Cardinals. But one of the good things was that outside of that, for the most part, AJ Green after that play was basically non-existent for the rest of the game. So it's a testament to Diamador Lenore being able to make corrections, and he's not consistently giving up plays all the damn time. He has really good coverage, man. I love what he does, man, and I'm confident in him going forward. Let me check the comments real quick. Sorry. So 8 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific for the show with Dwight Hicks tomorrow on East Coast Red and Gold. Of course. And Lenore will be fine. Yeah, I believe so. Everybody give me your thoughts on that, because this is a show by 49er fans for 49er fans. So once all that stuff starts spewing out, all the criticism, I'm going to take a look at it from not just an analytical standpoint, but, just overall from what I've seen all season, what I see in the physics, of course. So I believe that Lenore is going to be really fine, and he's been really good for us all season outside of that Chiefs game. That was tough for everybody, I think. But the 49ers get 3 interceptions versus the Cardinals, and it was against a backup quarterback, guys. So I'm not going to give the 49ers too much praise. Tayshaun Gibson, I love that he's making plays. Whether he's causing these interceptions or not, he's in the right place at the right time. And it counts for a lot, man. The 49ers offense, it's a big thing that they're capitalizing on these turnovers, right? Turnover on downs, interceptions, fumbles. It's one thing if you're getting those turnovers, which the 49ers weren't getting before. If you go to last year, the 49ers and really years before, the 49ers have struggled a lot when it comes to turnovers as opposed to other defenses in the league. The Saints have always been they've been pretty good at that over the years. And the 49ers are starting to ramp it up with these interceptions. It was against the backup quarterback, 3 interceptions, like I said. So take that for what you will. I'm not going to get too overhyped about it, but I still love it. Of course, we got to give kudos for it. And Deebo Samuel and Mitchell were in this game, of course, and I loved how they looked, right? Because we can look at the stats all we want, but the eye test is the main thing. These guys, I felt like they looked really fresh. I was a little worried because the injuries that they sustained were to tendon tissue. So it wasn't muscle tissue, which is something that's nowhere near as serious as something that has to do with your tendons. They wanted the 49ers to take it slow, and it seems like they've handled it perfectly. And given the right time frame and everything like that, they didn't put too much on these guys. And they rehabbed just well, man. So Deebo and Mitchell, they looked great in this game. Debo Samuel had a couple touches. Mitchell, this dude, him and CMC, they both got touchdowns in the first half of the game against the Cardinals. So that was really awesome to begin with. But if you guys go back and look at it, Mitchell averaged 11 yards per carry, and CMC averaged what CMC averaged 4.5. So Mitchell averaged about 2.5 times per carry than CMC did, man. So if you guys want to know how much of a difference of a running back Mitchell can make in the backfield, that's a pretty good indication right there, guys. So I love it, man. It's badass. You know, CMC, that's not to make any knocks at him or anything like that. He's fantastic. I love having him on the team, but him and Mitchell as a 1-2 punch, and that's another thing that I really loved about this game was the rotation of running backs that we had, right? They didn't put it all on CMC. They didn't put it all on Mitchell. It wasn't too much too fast. They mixed in JP Mason and TDP. TDP was there at the end, but they mixed in JP Mason, CMC, and Mitchell. So that was really awesome, man. I hope that Kyle Shanahan sees that and continues that going into the playoffs. I like that. That way of attacking defense is better than just leaning on one running back in the first half and then another running back in the second half. I love the rotation, just like how we talked about earlier about the defensive linemen. The more guys you have in the rotation, the fresher the player is going to be because they're not getting everything put on them down in and down out the whole game, right? Or the whole first half. They can continue to stay fresh. So I think it bodes well for the 49ers offense if they continue to do that rotation. But Mitchell and Debo overall, just how they looked in that game against the Cardinals, first game back from injury, it's pretty promising, you guys. You guys look at everything that Brock Purdy has been able to do when not having Debo Samuel or Elijah Mitchell in the lineup. Man, guys. And we're gonna get into that, man. Brock Purdy. Oh man. Oh man. Juwan Jennings, man. Here, let me take this comment down real quick. And guys, please throw your comments in, throw in all your thoughts on everything 49ers that's been going on. I don't care. Any questions, any comments, I welcome it with open arms. So please continue to chime in as far as it goes with the 49ers and the NFL. Jennings, real quick. I like Jennings a lot, man. I feel like, of course, he has games where I think he's super underrated, and he has these games. I don't remember exactly which ones. I think it was against the Buccaneers was one of them, but not just third and Juwan, but he's the guy, man. And this dude is an all-out baller. There was a lot of questions coming out of training camp whether he was going to have an effective year like he did last year because he was dropping passes so much he couldn't get separation in coverage. So, dude, he's just balling out. I had that confidence. No matter what I heard from training camp, of course you worry a little bit, but I was like, this dude's a gamer, man. He shows up when it's game day, especially when you have all these weapons on the field that kind of take eyes off of him. And he has games where he balls out all by himself for the most part completely. So I can't wait to see what Juwan Jennings does in the playoffs. He has had his drops here and there in the past few games, but I love that they continue to go at him and they have the confidence to continue going at him. If he makes a mistake, if he drops a pass, he's most likely going to make up for it. And that dude, man, he's a straight up baller. Let me check some of the comments. East Coast Red and Gold, thank you, says, oh no, this is KD23, sorry. It's almost the same picture, it looks like, almost same colors. KD23, thanks for being here, says, hopefully Aaron Banks is healthy enough. Yeah, I think so. Hopefully they're not rushing him too much, but I don't think so. I think they're giving him more time than really what he needed. They were holding him out for the playoffs. He was ruled out very early on to play against the Cardinals, but Kyle Shanahan had said that he should be ready for the first game of the playoffs, which is now going to be against the Seahawks, and he's on pace to do so. He practiced today. So he's on pace to play. He was limited. Him and Greenlaw were limited in practice today, so they're on pace to play against the Seahawks this game in the wild card. Um, Wild card. What's the damn word for it? Whatever. You guys know what I mean. East Coast Red and Gold says, how do you think Purdy will do in the playoffs? Yeah, we're gonna get into that in a second. I'm not gonna give away too much because man, we'll get into it in a second. G9 Garage says, "Sup Wolf, sup everyone? What's up, man? Hope you're having a great night. Thanks for chiming in." Um, 49ers first takes. Aaron says, and what's up, man? Thanks for being here. He says, my dude, Niner Gang Wolfcast popping in before the laptop dies to say hi. What's up, bro? Hopefully it doesn't die too quick. Thanks for being here. Let me see. Is it me only? But I rather have Jennings slants than Debo. Debo is great, but doesn't he seem kind of lost now that that we have CMC? I think part of it part of it is having to share the rock so much, man. You know, like Ayuk, he just broke his 1,000 yards on the season, but it came super late in the season. I think for the talent that Brandon Ayuk has, I feel like he should have broke 1,000 yards a long time ago, weeks ago. And then to top it off, you know, he had to deal with the rotation of quarterbacks. You know, his quarterbacks going down, not being able to build that chemistry. He was having his best moments of the season with Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo goes down. The chemistry isn't there with him and Brock Purdy just yet between Ayuk and Purdy. So that took a while to build up. And so now we're seeing it. I think it's going to be really good going into the playoffs. But yeah, man, that's another thing too. Purdy hasn't gotten to play with Debo, so we're going to have to wait and see, man. I think Garoppolo was way too heavily reliant near the middle and short side of the field. So where Brock Purdy extends the field more, he's a little more aggressive. And so I think is going to open things up for everybody. I think everybody's going to get a chance to shine going into the playoffs. And this offense is just way too dynamic to stop, I think, man, especially when you add a dynamic quarterback like Brock Purdy. So I don't want to get too deep into it, man, but Jennings is awesome for his role. Debo is awesome for his role. I think he's going to be getting more screens. Of course, he's going to get his run plays here and there. But I still think that they should try Debo on quick slants. When you get a time like against the Rams in the first game with Jimmy Garoppolo, where really it probably should have been a pick six, but Debo goes up, catches that quick in route, takes it all the way to the house for like 80 yards. That's Debo's potential right there, man. Given the right circumstances, given the right quarterback, I think he can do a lot better. And it's just, I think it comes down to like these guys having to share the rock so much, having to share their touches because there's so many weapons in this offense. But now we got a really good distributor. I'm gonna stop talking because I told who was it? I think it was East Coast Red and Gold asked about Purdy's potential in the playoffs because that's going to be the next topic after this one. Ayuk start 1,000-yard season. I talked about it already. I think, man, I'm happy for him. It's awesome. I think it came late. He has a lot more to prove. I think not as far as how can I say? I think there was a lot left out there. A lot more he could do given the right quarterback. So it's not a knock on Ayuk at all whatsoever, man. I think once, like I said, once him and Purdy build more of that chemistry and practice and stuff like that, and even in games like they've just started to do, you know, at the end of the Raiders game and during this Cardinals game, really big catches for Ayuk. As that builds more, he's going to be way more dangerous, man. And that's a big part of it, man. Having a consistent quarterback for Ayuk, man. So I think he could have done a lot more. That's not a knock on him. That's just a knock on how things went and him having to share the rock with so many dynamic playmakers. And any other offense, I think he would have broken that 1,000-yard season a lot earlier. Like I said, I think it all comes down to having a consistent quarterback. But Danny Gray, man, I'm really curious to see if Danny Gray is utilized in the playoffs. He got a touch against who was it? The Commanders for 9 yards, an end around. So that was awesome. You know, gives us hope that we'll be seeing him sometime here in the playoffs. Maybe a deep shot to him from Purdy. The one thing about Purdy is everybody's talking about his lack of arm strength, but the thing I like about Purdy was Garoppolo was trying those deep passes this year, getting past that mental block of what happened in the Super Bowl in 2019 and missing Emmanuel Sanders. So he's never had that confidence for the deep ball ever since, it feels like. And outside of the times when he was forced to take the deep shot because Kyle Shanahan, you know, for example, against the Bears, when we're losing at the half and Kyle Shanahan is super frustrated with Jimmy Garoppolo and his play because the offense was just going nowhere fast. And Kyle Shanahan on the sidelines tells him, "Hey, man, this is easy shit. Can you do this?" And sure enough, after that, Garoppolo comes out, takes a deep shot to Deebo Samuel, and it kind of turned the whole game around, right? But Garoppolo, for the most part, has not been, whether he has the arm for it or not, he hasn't been accurate on the deep throws. Brock Purdy, although he might not have the biggest arm, at least he's accurate when he throws the deep pass, man. So hopefully we get to see Danny Gray utilized in some form or fashion going into the playoffs. I'm curious to see how that plays out. But David McNiner says, "What flavor of gum does Pete Carroll chew?" He probably chews on his own gums, gum flavored gum, denture flavored gum. Yeah, I really don't know though. Brian Culp says wintergreen. Probably shit. Out there in Seattle, that seems like the theme. Here we go, guys. Sorry I had to make you guys wait, but I want to know from you guys first. So Purdy's playoff potential is the current topic, and another offseason in the system, plus the wristband, whatever the hell. So where do you guys think Purdy's playoff potential is for this season, right? For this stretch of the playoffs. For me, man, oh man, I'm pumped. I really am pumped, man. I think he's so badass. I think he opens up the offense in so many ways. You guys who are consistently here, you hear me say it consistently that like I said, the chemistry with certain guys, it still has to build, man. So I think the offense is getting better at those things. And part of it is we're scoring all these points consistently since Brock Purdy has stepped in. In what stretch? So outside of the Cardinals game on Monday night with Jimmy Garoppolo, when the hell else did he score 30 or more points? Brock Purdy has done it basically every single game. The only game he didn't score over 30 points was against the Seahawks, which was in Seattle, his first time in a very hostile environment. So I want to give him the benefit of the doubt for that one. But I think it's just going to build and get even better, man. The more chemistry he builds with all these guys, all the weapons around him, like he says, he says it himself. In this offense, you don't have to be great, but that little bit of versatility that Brock Purdy adds to this offense makes all the world of difference, as you guys can see. Statistically, he's his numbers are almost the same as Garoppolo's statistically, but that doesn't tell the whole story. Numbers do lie, guys. They lie sometimes because they don't tell the whole story, and people will point at just numbers, of course, if it's going to fit their narrative, but it doesn't always fit the story of what's really going on, the reality of the situation. But yeah, man, I'm really pumped up about it. Let me see. Cowboy Angel says it's a run first team. We made it to the Super Bowl when Jimmy only threw 8 passes. Exactly, man. So you get somebody in here like Purdy that can actually do things with his versatility, who he can make really smart decisions. His awareness is, man, his awareness is off the wall, man. Taking sacks when you need to take sacks, throwing the ball away when it needs to get thrown away. And nobody's perfect. It's not always going to be that way. But when you can get somebody who consistently does it, knowing when to get down and slide, protect himself and stuff like that, those little business decisions can make all the world a difference. Um, but yeah, like Cowboy Angel says, it's a run first team for the most part. But that's another really great point, man. That was something that I talked about earlier in the season where is this a run first team? I think even when it was Jimmy Garoppolo in there, I felt like Kyle Shanahan didn't have enough confidence in the quarterback where we're so dynamic as an offense that the run game wasn't working. It wasn't working as well as it had in past years because teams were stacking the box and they were just shutting the run game down. But we were having a lot of success in the pass game where Garoppolo was consistently being put in third and longs and consistently having to convert them. And it's like, if he can do that consistently, why don't you just pass more often? Sure enough, he started doing it. I think defenses have kind of changed the way they're starting to defend the 49ers, and they're spreading everything out because they're realizing now they have to defend the whole field because the 49ers are a really balanced team and they can attack you in every which way, man. Pick your poison. So whatever defenses give the 49ers, that's what the 49ers are going to take, and that's what I love it. So I would say the 49ers are now a balanced team that can attack you any which way you want it, man. Pick your poison. Um, that's how I see it. Rick Diaz says, hey, my friend, I agree with you. You took the words out of my mouth. I said there's a month or 3 months ago about this. Yeah, it is true what you're saying, that often it's like going to get better and better. Yeah, exactly. Yes, I feel the Niners offensive line, they're going to get better. I think they're going to get better too, man. I'm really glad we have a guy like Brunskill, seasoned veteran that is very versatile as well, man. So Jim Everett the Great, the Rams fan, says raining on game Sunday, Purdy has proved absolutely nothing, wins versus bad teams. Hey, man, you can't. I don't think you can really say that, man. He's a rookie. You can't say he hasn't proved anything, man, because he's scoring. Like I just said, he's scoring more than the veteran Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jimmy Garoppolo beat a lot of teams, man. So Brock Purdy is beating a lot of teams in way better fashion than Jimmy Garoppolo ever really did. So I don't think you could say that. Now we have to see it going into the playoffs. I will give you that. Some of the defenses he faced weren't the greatest defenses. Some of them were really good defenses that were a little banged up. So we got to see when teams get more film on him, if they try to adjust, if they can adjust. Because like I said, the versatility of not just this quarterback, but the offense overall, I think it doesn't bode well for opposing defenses. So I don't think, I don't think there's any which way you can defend this offense, because you got Kittle, you got Brandon Ayuk, you got Juwan Jennings, Debo Samuel, Ray McLeod, you got Danny Gray, you got CMC, you got Elijah Mitchell, JP Mason, you got a quarterback that is really shifty and can make basically all the throws. So pick your poison, man. If you want to defend if you want to defend really one dimensionally, you're going to get attacked in another way one dimensionally. So the 49ers are going to take what they can get, and there's a lot they can get all over the field, man. So we're going to wait and see. It is the playoffs. This is where usually Garoppolo would decline and jump off a cliff, basically be dragged into the playoffs by the rest of the team. But I don't see it going that way with Brock Purdy, man. So I think Jim Everett the Great, thank you, but I think we just got to wait and see. Because I don't think we're crowning him yet, but we do think he has a lot of potential. At least that's where my standpoint is, man. I'm not going to go ahead and crown him as the next Joe Montana. Jokingly, when I was at the sports bar, when Brock Purdy first went in against the Miami Dolphins, I kind of nudged another 49ers fan, and I said, hey, man, it's the second coming of Joe Montana right there. I was joking, though, guys. Ironically, he's starting to look like he's getting a lot of comparisons to Joe Montana. Of course, the arm strength is one of them, but just the way he carries himself. You know, Joe Montana was known as Joe Cool for a reason, man. This guy was super poised. Oh, my God. I'm going to start fangirling over Joe Montana. But, you know, you don't want to compare Purdy to a great like that, but he shows a lot of those attributes, all those traits. So I'm really confident in him, man. I got a guy backstage by the name of David McNiner, who I'm going to bring in a second. You ready, David? All right, man. Glad to have him on, and we're going to have our first caller of the night. How you doing, David?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
I'm good. You know what, man? I'm going to say I really like the way your goatee, the beanie, the shirt, and your flag all match. Because like if you look back at the flag, it has like the black outline around the oval. And you got the black shirt and everything matches the goatee. Is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when it comes down to it, we don't know what Brock Purdy's going to do in the playoffs. It would be nice to know. What is going on?
Hell yeah. Here? Would be nice to be able to tell the future. Uh-oh. Technical difficulties.
There we go.
Okay.
No, I was turning my earbuds on. I tried to do it when I was backstage, but it wouldn't let me do it.
Oh, okay.
But and I mean, we don't know what he's going to do in the playoffs. We know what Jimmy G does. 74.1 QB rating, 160 yards a game, 4 TD, 6 INT. But we don't know what Brock Purdy brings to the table yet. And I mean, the Jim Everett, he's a Rams fan. So the only thing I got to say to him is enjoy sitting on the couch watching the playoffs.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. As a Rams fan, being Jim Everett the Great, being a Rams fan, of course, he's probably going to want to jump on any form of negativity for his division rival. So it's understandable. But in some form or fashion, he's right. Brock Purdy hasn't proven the world, but he's shown a lot of potential, man. So I'm really excited for it. I'm looking forward to it, man. We can't tell the future, but I think it's looking very bright for the 49ers, man. We have one of the best problems you can have in the league, which is having too many good quarterbacks.
That's true. That's true. I mean, the Rams, they went out and signed Baker Mayfield because their other two quarterbacks couldn't do it. And he's mid. Baker Mayfield's nothing special. I've been calling him Faker Failfield for a reason, And I mean, what else is there to say? When it comes down to it, we're in the playoffs. We just got to worry about us. It's one game at a time. And that's it. It's one game at a time. We got the sea chickens in front of us, and it's time to assert our dominance. Is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying we're going to win this game in dominant fashion. I don't care if we win it by 1 point, as long as we win it. And I mean, they've, whooped on us for long enough. No. This cannot be allowed to happen at our house too. It cannot be allowed to happen. And go ahead.
If you go back to that game with Brock Purdy against the Seahawks, of course it was in Seattle, hostile environment, but the game felt like it was more out of hand in the 49ers' favor than really what the score showed. And that's in Seattle, man. So can you imagine what it's going to be like when the 49ers play the Seahawks at home in Santa Clara, which should be San Francisco? Just throwing that in there.
Hey, man, right now there's I don't think there's anything where Candlestick used to be.
Man, I heard there's apartment complex, which is bullshit, man. Tear those apartments down,
Why
pay them
would you?
Because it's right on the ocean. And that's part of what I loved about Candlestick. Man, just driving up the freeway to Candlestick, getting there, I think on the 101 coming from the south, traveling north and seeing it right there on the ocean was a sight to see, man. Good days. Them good days.
Yep.
Rick Diaz says...
I mean, when it comes to Candlestick, let's talk about home field advantage. There were so many games I watched at Candlestick where it's like, it's an afternoon game, and here comes the tide comes in, and all of a sudden the field gets kind of sloppy, and the other team is never prepared for it.
Yeah, it gets
You
muggy
know?
quick.
Yeah. The
I know.
Santa Clara does not have that. They don't have that. But I mean, this year we lost to the Chiefs, and it honestly looked like we weren't fully prepared for that game. You know,
Yeah.
it really did. Even though we were missing a couple guys, I never use injuries as an excuse. You know,
Well,
but we
that's
were missing a couple guys. You know, Bosa, and I mean, Travarius Ward was even hurt with a groin injury. So
yeah, that's
it's
true.
just it wasn't a good game for us at all. You know, it was a whooping, and we deserved it at that point. But ever since then, you know, it was kind of a wake up call game because we won. You know, and the Raiders
Yeah.
game is also a wake up call game, but we won that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I honestly think we are poised to make a playoff run, but it is win this game in front of us first.
I agree, man, 100%. I think part of the Chiefs game that really gives me confidence if we face them the second time around in the Super Bowl is, like you said, for one, we were banged up. Two, we were in the game with them till after the half. We were going neck and neck with them with Jimmy Garoppolo, who's a very one-dimensional quarterback. So you bring in a guy like Brock Purdy, who maybe he'll show his rookie tendencies here and there, but overall he's more versatile and can basically do what Garoppolo does and more. So I feel really confident about that. Like I said, the 49ers were neck and neck with the Chiefs that first time around earlier this season. But if we face them again, I feel good about it, at least when it comes to the quarterback position. And
Well, when we face them again, we have a whole game of tape of how they whooped us.
that too.
So I
Sitting
mean,
in-
and the fact that our team is going to remember what happened. But
Yeah.
we don't know who's coming out of the AFC. That's a 3-team race, straight up. I mean, it's the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Bengals. And I honestly think the Bengals are a little hotter than the Bills or the Chiefs. But we'll see how all that plays out, you know.
They're definitely hotter, man. They got a spark about them right now. The Bengals do. The Chiefs and the Bills are the overall better teams, I think. But yeah, there's something to be said for momentum for the Bengals. So we'll see how that goes, because they dethroned the Kansas City Chiefs last year in the AFC Championship. So we'll see how that goes, man. We'll see how it goes. I want revenge on the Chiefs, but I'm not going to cry if they lose in the AFC Championship or anything like that. Rick Diaz, sorry it took a while to get to your comment. And like I said, everybody, if you guys could please, if you guys could throw 4 flame emojis in your comment/question so that I know to get to it and I don't have to sift through too many words. But Rick Diaz says, I sent it, I think 2 weeks ago, 3. The 49ers are ready to explode. In my opinion, it's like a walking time bomb. I think so, man. These last few games in the regular season, I think the 49ers have been pacing themselves. And I think once the playoffs roll around, you guys are going to see the 49ers really turn things on. And if you think the Purdy show wasn't super exciting just yet, I think you're in for a real treat now, man. Just overall with the 49ers, not just Purdy. You have any thoughts on that, David?
Well, I mean, it's a team effort, and you know, last year we had to carry Jimmy G, and this year we have a quarterback that, you know, in the last I believe 6 games has matched what Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes has done with his TDs and INTs.
Yeah.
So it was pretty close. He's like 13-3. One of them's 12-4 and 12 TDs, 4 INT, and the other one's 12 TD, 3 INT.
His QBR
Brock Purdy has 13 and 3. So it's like,
yeah, he's matching all these guys with QBR, touchdown to interception ratio, completion percentages, all that stuff, man. So Jim Everett the Great said he hasn't proved anything, but I think he has as of so far. But you know, we just got to wait and see when it really counts.
Well, he also said that we hadn't beaten any good teams, but you do realize the Dolphins were 8-3.
Yeah.
Before they, got in front of the 49er freight train, they were 8-3.
Yeah.
So
I think the 49ers, as like what they did to a lot of other teams, of course, 49ers opponents after losing to them are 0-15. So I think that's because partially the 49ers whooping on them, but I think the 49ers gave the rest of the league the script on how to beat the Dolphins as well. So that could be part of it. KD23, thank you, says, just waiting on that juice wheel route that Jimmy mostly misses. Hey, that's true, man. That's another thing. I'm sorry, Juice. I didn't mention you when I was talking about all the weapons. I just realized that. I'm an idiot. I might have not even mentioned. No, I mentioned Kittle, but Juice, yeah, that's another one that I don't think Purdy would miss. He's not going to air it out, pop fly, which Jimmy Garoppolo does to try and make sure that he doesn't miss Juice or any give me throws, and he still ends up missing, which is super weird. He's really good in super tight windows, but you give him an easy throw, he turns into a whole different quarterback, does Jimmy Garoppolo. Cowboy Angel said he's mad the Lambs lost their coach yesterday. R.I.P. Lambs. Yup. R.I.P. Rams. I don't think there'll be much of any part of conversation in the NFL anytime soon, outside of worst teams in the NFL. Jim Everett the Great says Joe Montana could throw the deep pass good as anyone with higher efficiency. And that's the thing too, man. That's like I said earlier. Garoppolo could throw the deep pass all he wants, but it wasn't accurate. I don't think it was ever accurate for Jimmy Garoppolo. Anytime you see Garoppolo throw the deep pass, the receiver would have to either stop and wait for it. He would get overthrown, but it was never like right in the breadbasket. As opposed to Brock Purdy, where it's like always in the breadbasket. I love his accuracy. That's another thing, another part of his game that's being like kind of shunned, I think, where take all the touchdowns to Kittle, man. The one in the back right, two of them actually. One versus the Raiders, I think it was, and then one versus the Cardinals in the back of the end zone to George Kittle. Brock Purdy does something that's very difficult to do, move to your left, and then he spins around and throws that pass coming out of a spin very accurately to where only Kittle can get it, man. It's only going to get Kittle in the hands, and if it doesn't, it's going to be incomplete. And then the other one where he's on the roll to the right and the play action hits Kittle where only Kittle can catch it as well. And Kittle talked about it. He said, on that play, the play action one, I love that Brock Purdy goes through all his progressions because I'm nowhere near any of the first reads. I'm like the last read, and he still hit me for a touchdown where only I can get it, man. So that, guys, this is what I'm talking about, man. Do you guys think the 49ers were dangerous with Jimmy Garoppolo? I think the NFL is going to be the 49ers are going to be put on notice, even though they already are. Any thoughts on anything I just said, David?
I think we've been on notice since we lost toward the 2019 Super Bowl.
Yeah, maybe. But the way we start out seasons, man, everybody's like, yeah, the Niners, they're going to be a number one contender, this, and that. And then we come out 3-5, 3-4. It's like, are these guys straight pretenders? What the hell's going on, man? And then, earlier in the season, I know I was one of the guys where I was kind of licking my chops when it came to Jim Harbaugh. No homo, but he came and visited the team during one of their games. I forget who it was. Was it against the Chiefs? I think it was against the Chiefs. Jim Harbaugh showed up in that game, I think.
Yeah, it was. I think it was a game where they were honoring the team.
Yeah, the 2012.
Yeah. So when and you had Jim Harbaugh and all kinds of people show up.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what game it was, though. I think it was against the Chiefs, which is really embarrassing. But I was like, man, Jim Harbaugh's talking to the media. He's reminiscing on good old memories. And we're 3-4 at the time, and I'm like, man, I miss those Harbaugh days, man. Even though we lost the Super Bowl that one time, he had a really good winning record. So I started, contemplating whether we should bring Harbaugh back if there was any chance to do so. I'm gonna admit it, I said it, but I wasn't on the wagon of fire Kyle Shanahan right away. It was just like, hey, I'm kind of contemplating, kind of looking at that and licking my chops a little bit. But Jim Everett the Great says, hit the likes. Yeah, I would really appreciate that. Thank you, everybody. If you guys could please hit the like button, please subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you guys get notified every time that I go live, anytime I upload a video or anything like that. G9 Garage says, Brock kept his composure in Seattle and Vegas, and that's promising. Exactly. And that's what I'm talking about. Being in playoff type environments and coming out with wins like that. Like I said, in Seattle, don't get fooled by the score. It was more of a blowout than what the score would indicate. But in that Raiders game, it was something that we wanted to see. Brock Purdy and the offense going blow for blow with an opposing offense that's scoring a lot of points. Feel free to interject at any time, David. Brian Kolb says, I think Jimmy G taught the Niners offense a lot more than anyone is saying. He helped this team to mature. Jimmy G just got injured on the way. Yeah, man. I definitely agree with that. I love everything that Garoppolo has done for this team. They all love him for a reason. They all love him with good reason. He's always been the most stout professional you can have, man. He's always been really awesome. Brought us out of some dark days. I think he brought some of that quarterback mentality from Tom Brady over from New England. Just kind of watching Tom Brady go through his motions, how he is a leader on an NFL team. And I think he brought that over here, man. So I think it did help the 49ers. It seemed like there was points in times where they had more respect for Garoppolo than they do for Kyle Shanahan. And I think there's something that it has to be said about that. But at the end of the day, just Brock Purdy's a better quarterback, I think. He's way more versatile. So much love to Jimmy, much love and respect. I wish him all the best, man. I appreciate him for everything he's done, but it's time to go, bro. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Nothing, David?
Nope.
He
I really don't have any. I just don't have anything to add to that. You're on fire right now.
Uh-oh. Lightning round. Here, I'll let you take this comment then.
He's still my QB, my best TO voice. That TO voice. What? Oh, Jimmy G is still his QB.
Yeah, I think he's talking about when T.O. was talking about Jeff Garcia.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yeah. But look, Brian, come on, bro. So Jimmy G, he's an excellent game manager, but when it comes down to it, he throws too many injury balls. He throws, Brock Purdy actually can extend plays and run out of the pocket and roll out, And, well, I honestly think Brock Purdy's arm is a little stronger. So, he's an upgrade over Jimmy G. I mean, if we're talking about points per game here, Jimmy G with the current offense was averaging 25.4, and Brock Purdy is averaging 33.5.
Yeah.
that is a huge difference.
And a lot of people, like I said earlier, we can point at the stats and the numbers will be very similar, but the outcome is very different. It's like you take a 69 Dodge Charger muscle car, right? You leave one stock part in there, maybe we'll say stock tires, right? And you change, it's going to run very well. It's still going to be super fast, still going to drive super awesome. But you add some street performance racing tires to it, like Brock Purdy, maybe you could say, or just an aftermarket brand of tires that's for street racing will make that car run just that little bit better, that little bit faster, where we will go from being middle of the pack to start winning races and being a leader.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. When it comes down to it, football is a game of inches,
That's what she
and and I'm not going to argue with that.
Yeah.
And Brock Purdy, he's confident. He's comfortable in the pocket. He's poised. Jimmy G, since he got injured, several times in a row,
Mhm.
he has issues in the pocket. He does not look comfortable.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that's his biggest problem.
Well, extending plays too, extending plays out of the pocket, being pocket awareness
Yep.
in the pocket as well.
And Jimmy G gets, to the point where he's comfortable in the pocket. You might just see him go back to what we saw in 2017. The 5-game win streak when he was comfortable in the pocket, looked poised. That was the QB I was hoping we were going to get. But then he tore his ACL, and when he came back, he actually had a good season in 2019. I don't hate Jimmy. He's just he's not the level of quarterback we need.
Yeah.
We need a step up from him, and that's Brock Purdy right now.
Exactly. We got Super Bowl aspirations, man. And we need somebody who's gonna kind of elevate this offense and be a really good ball distributor, not just a game manager. You said he's an excellent game manager, but I wouldn't even give him that. I think he's just really good at leading methodical drives that keeps. I think one of the biggest things about Jimmy Garoppolo being the quarterback is that when they lead these methodical drives, even though like I said earlier, he had to convert a lot of third and longs, was that the time of possession was so long for the 49ers that other opposing teams just weren't getting the ball enough time to score. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, even going back to that 2017 season, I think I made this point in a recent stream, was even in 2017 where Garoppolo went 5-0 to finish out the season, it was super impressive with the direction this team was going. It was just had won one game on the season and only had like 5 games left in the regular season, and they went out the last 5, but those games were very close. You see Purdy step in. Now, granted, Purdy's actually been in the system the whole time. Garoppolo had just gotten here from New England, so who knows how it would have been if he was on the bench the whole training camp and everything. But he wasn't scoring points in 2017 like Brock Purdy was. Those games we were winning were close games. And they were like 20 point, like 22-20 type games. Omega Red says these damn sea hags are such a thorn in our side. Yeah, man. I think the sea chickens are like the Rams were for us last year. Not as good, but they don't want to go away. We have to play them 3 times. It's like, can you guys please just give up already? You guys think you're gonna win the Super Bowl or something? Because I think I can assure Seahawks fans that's not the case. With all due respect, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I hurt anybody's feelings, but I'm being honest. I don't think the Seahawks would have any chance of winning the Super Bowl. Niner Fanatic Podcast. Pete Lucas chimes in. He says, "What up, fellas? Like and subscribe, everyone." Yeah, I would really appreciate that. And thanks for being here, bro. Thanks for chiming in. Everybody go check out his channel over there too, Niner Fanatic Podcast, and drop him a sub. That'd be cool. Tex Ass Liquor, I like the name, says Vikings gonna beat the Niners 36-24 in the divisional round. I don't think so, bro. I think I've said it very many times. The Vikings are a one-trick pony. They get their asses whooped by very basic teams, man. And you guys had a very close game with the Giants, and the Giants aren't even on. You guys barely beat them by 3 points, 24-27. that's the Giants. They're nowhere near the tier that the 49ers are, guys. That's just being
And
realistic.
the Giants are going back to town for their revenge. So we'll see what happens.
So you guys have to make it through the Giants first before you can start talking about the 49ers and beating the 49ers.
Well, Texas kicker. Hold on. Tickler, dude. It says Tickler. So who's your team?
Wishful thinking.
Well, who's his team? If he says the Cowboys, I got some news for you. You're going to Tampa Bay, and Tom Brady's going to show you what's up.
Yeah, man. I think that's something that a lot of people are overlooking. I think Tom Brady's going to turn it up and beat the Cowboys, but I do think he's going to be one and done as well.
Well, look what the commies did to the Cowboys in the last game.
Yeah,
with
the third string quarterback.
Yeah, you're not lying. You're not lying.
The Vikings got the same kind of shit going on. They're not consistent.
No,
that's a one-trick pony over there. So, yeah, no, the Vikings can't compete with the 49ers, man.
I just hope that whoever ends up going, say we win this game, which I'm not promising anything. It's one game at a time. And then, the next round comes up. Whoever goes to Philly, can they beat them? I mean, Philadelphia has looked pretty shaky the last, 3-4 weeks of the season.
Yeah, that's two teams that I think are pretenders, man, is the Cowboys and Eagles big time. When they really get tested against poor teams, they have flops. They have very close games with these teams. And, the Niners have had that, but they had that earlier in the season. Now they've been taking care of business. They've put their foot on the gas pedal, and they're rolling into the playoffs, especially with momentum on fire, man. So, I wouldn't be that. I mean, kudos if the Vikings are your team and you're confident in them. That's awesome. But, like G9 Garage says here, Vikings are not going to score 36 on the 49ers defense. Like, if you think the Vikings are going to score 36, in what world? Like, who do you guys have that's really going to threaten the 49ers defense outside of one receiver, one tight end, and one good running back?
Well, on top of that,
the tight end ain't even that good.
Yeah, I was going to say Jefferson and Dalvin Cook. I mean, that's their two best offensive players right there.
Yeah. So it's like, trust me, we got the cure for that. One receiver, one running back, and one choke of a quarterback as well. That dude is such a choke, man. I don't think anybody can argue that. So the team that I would be most worried about in the NFC to challenge the 49ers would be the Eagles, and even them, they've got a young quarterback. They haven't really been tested, and when they have been, they've lost and had really close games with a really lackluster. They almost lost to the second string and third string of the Giants. So, I mean, I think that's with their starting quarterback. So,
wow.
Division game, okay, but still. Oh, I thought you were going to say something. Crazy Juice in here as well. Thanks for being here. Says, what's up, Niner Gang, Wolfcast and David. Hey, what's up, bro? Got CG in here. What's up, CG? Everybody go check him out. CG 49ers Talk. Yeah, go drop him a sub as well. The Bucks All-Pro center might be back. See, and he's probably, even if he does come back, he's probably going to be really rusty. It might be better to just roll with who they've got until the next game. Get their center some practice time, their starting center, and then see how it goes from there. But they might have that chemistry as far as Brian says, CG jump on. Yeah, man, that'd be cool. It's the kid 916. What's up, bro? Hope you're doing good. It says, let's go, faithful. Hell yeah, man. Let's get her done. Next time wife will be there. We'll be here. Let me see. That's why I say put 4 flames in the thing so I can know what to read specifically. Yes. Cowboy Angel says Eagles are this year's version of the Cardinals last year knocked out round 1. Yeah, man. That's what I'm saying, man. The Cowboys and the Eagles, they haven't been tested. They had like the two easiest schedules of the NFL this year, and they've been very lackluster, man. So I think they're pretenders, and we're gonna wait and see into the playoffs. That's when we're gonna find out. Um, but yeah, we're gonna find out, man. It's playoff time. This is when it really counts. So we can talk about it all we want, but you know, Purdy had 15 of 20 in this Cardinals game for 75% completion percentage, which he didn't throw a whole lot of passes, man, but 75% is pretty damn good. That's about if you play a whole game, that's he was 100% for 3 quarters. And he just dropped all his passes in the fourth quarter or something like that. So 75% for 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 10 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions through his season, his tenure as a 49ers starting quarterback. But yeah, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions against a starting caliber NFL defense in the league, in the Cardinals, who did have something to play for, man. They had a chance at the playoffs or not. This was JJ Watt's last game as a Cardinal. Or probably as an NFL player, he announced that he would be retiring after this season. And the Cardinals really wanted to play their hearts out, especially on defense, to put a good performance together for going away party for JJ Watt. And still, Purdy got 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. I think there's something to be said for that, man. Josh Johnson stepped in at the end and finished out the game. I did want to see Josh Johnson pass the ball, man. That pissed me off. But it is what it is. He didn't get to. Purdy had some really good stats in this game. I didn't have the yardage. Let me see. I think I have for 178 yards. Yeah, he threw for 178 yards, which isn't too much. That's like a Garoppolo type game, with a couple more touchdowns thrown. But he did have a designed run play that Kyle Shanahan called for him. It was 2nd and 10. Poor play call, I think. A little risky, but the good thing about this run play, this designed run play for Purdy, was something that we've critiqued Kyle Shanahan before on, was him running his quarterbacks down the middle for quarterback powers, stuff like that. Let's get your quarterbacks in space if you're going to run them. That's how Trey Lance got hurt. He wasn't put in space. And Purdy went around the edge. He didn't get it. It didn't work out. Turned a 2nd and 10 into a 3rd and 18. So it was probably a poor play call and maybe even a poor execution, but I didn't like it, man. I like him better when he scrambles. So do you have any thoughts on the designed run for Purdy, David?
I don't like QB design runs. There's this thing that happened in this game week 2 that really early that kind of makes me really hate QB design runs.
What happened? Can you refresh our memory a little bit? I don't remember what happened in game 2 of the 2022 regular season against the Seahawks.
Man. But it halfway concerns me to see Kyle Shanahan even throwing an RPO in there. It's like, bro, did you learn your lesson?
I think he did a little bit, because, like I said, at least he got him into space. It was around the edge, because at that point in time, Purdy will have time to slide, or he's not running into linebackers. He can run out of bounds. He can slide, stuff like that. So I do like that aspect of it. He's not quarterback powering his ass.
That's true. I mean, running Trey Lance up the middle, and it was just the wrong thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Very much so. We said it in the offseason as well, man. But we did say, I'm sure Kyle Shanahan is holding a lot of these tricks close to heart for the playoffs. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see it. I'm not so opposed to it as long as he does it in space where Purdy has time to protect himself and it's not up the middle. Maybe a quarterback draw here and there, but let's not do it too often. I think he's better when it's a scramble. Defenders have their backs to him and he can just take off and take advantage of that. CG Ruthless 49ers Talk says, what concerns you against the Seahawks? Do you got any concerns about the Seahawks, David?
Well, Pete Carroll can keep his gum in his mouth so it don't get stuck on a player's shoe. That'd be nice. But I mean, it's just exactly. But when it comes down to it, it depends on, DK Metcalf is always a concern. Charvarius Ward did a great job of locking him up.
Yeah.
And actually made him really frustrated how good he was locking him up, which that was so great to see.
Yeah.
And I mean, their running game, we got Gibbons coming back. And he was the run stuffer for a long time for us. So I'm not necessarily concerned about the running game. If it rains like it's supposed to, then it's going to be who can run the ball best and play defense. And what do we do? Oh, that's right. We run the ball and play defense. So I think it's totally our advantage because they're DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett will be locked out of the game. Not locked out of the game, but they're not going to have much of an impact.
Yeah.
And that being said, it'll kind of make our guys like Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo not have much of an impact either.
Mm-hmm.
But we throw short passes and let them run after.
Yeah.
So I honestly think they'll still be a factor in the game, even if it's raining. The Seahawks, they don't do the yards after catch, bang through them thing.
Mm-hmm.
They throw downfield. It's a different offense, and a rainy game actually favors us.
Yeah. You think so?
Oh, yeah.
I think, because the Seahawks are more one-dimensional when it comes to the run game. The 49ers, even with if we're just running the ball, we can hit you in so many different ways just because of all the dynamic playmakers that we have. We even have Danny Gray, who hasn't really been utilized as of yet. But yeah, man, I agree with that. I think, like you said, the 49ers are just too dynamic. What concerns me against the Seahawks is just, third time around, Pete Carroll being a good coach and he knows what he's doing and just having a really good game plan for the 49ers. But I feel really confident about it, man. I think the 49ers should handle business really well and really set themselves apart and dominate this game. Who knows? Have you ever seen anybody rest their starters in a playoff game towards the end?
Only if they're blowing the brakes off of them.
So you've seen it before?
I've seen it before.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was an absolute blowout. The other team had no chance to come back, which, I would love this game to get to that point.
Right. Imagine the 49ers resting their starters in a playoff game towards the end because they're blowing the Seahawks out so damn bad. Now, I don't know. I should probably hold my prediction for that game till later on in the week. But I do have a prediction of I'll just say it's kind of similar to what I had for the 49ers Cardinals. But this team loves Purdy, man. I think that's another thing that could be a testament to Purdy's leadership, just his overall poise. There was a moment, I don't know if you guys caught it in the broadcast, where McGlinchey was consoling Purdy like Purdy had made a nice play. I don't remember what play it was after, but he was holding Purdy like this under one arm and patting his chest like a little baby boy. It was so cute, honestly. But it's like the love that these guys have for Brock Purdy, man, the respect they have for him. He's a little guy, when it comes to the NFL, and so I think they feel like that's their little brother, and he's really earning his spot. Every time these guys score a touchdown, they like immediately run up to Purdy to give him the ball to spike it for the most part, except for Kittle. He's stingy. Uh, but a lot of these guys, they give that kudos to Purdy, man. They give him the honors of spiking the ball. They're showing a lot of love for him, man. So have you seen anything, David, that kind of indicates all that? And have you noticed anything with the love this team has for Purdy?
Well, when it comes to Purdy, I honestly think we have something.
Mhm.
He's not bigger than the game, and that's something that's very important.
Yeah.
He went to Iowa. He was the best player on that team by far.
Yeah.
And he had to take him. He had to carry the team. Here, he doesn't have to do that. He just has to go out there and play football and let the playmakers make the plays. Get the ball in their hands and just be careful with the ball. Don't turn it over.
Yeah.
And that's what he has to do, and that's what he's been doing. When it comes to the playoffs, we don't know what's going to happen. It's like Jimmy G. He was having a good season. I'll say it.
Yeah.
And even in 2019, he had a good season, but his playoff numbers still stink. Even back then they did.
Yeah, that still worried us.
Yeah, but we do not know what the kid's going to do in the playoffs yet. We know we got the Sea Chickens coming to town, and it's going to be the third game against them in a season. A lot of people are saying a lot about, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in the season. But I looked up NFL history, and most of the time, the team that won the 2 games has won the 3rd game.
Mm-hmm.
But, that doesn't mean that's going to happen on Saturday.
Yeah.
And I'm honestly looking forward to it. I hope we beat them. Like I said, I don't care if it's by 1 point. I hope it's by 20.
Yeah.
But at the same time, as long as we beat them and send them home, then all those Seattle fans, it's going to be nice and quiet in this off season.
I do care because I don't like those heart palpitations, man. I'm not one for close games. I don't like that. I get very worried and stressed out, man. And then when we score and stuff like that, I go crazy. One thing I was going to say real quick before I get to Brian's comment was, I don't know if any of you guys have heard, Kyle Shanahan actually had some comments on Brock Purdy about being coaching him, that he loves coaching him, that basically Kyle Shanahan was saying you don't have to kiss his ass and butter him up. You can just get right to teaching him. You could just get to coaching him up, which is something that, like you kind of talked about, where he was overlooked a little bit in Iowa and turned out to be one of the greater quarterbacks in their history as a college. And then he comes over to, of course, the 49ers and has the success that he has, but he still plays with the chip on his shoulder, even though he has all that success and the confidence to lead the 49ers to greatness. But he still wants to learn. He's still a student of the game, and really working his ass off to be the best, man. He's not like, not to take any shots at Garoppolo, but I feel like, being so pretty and all that stuff, I think he's been handed a lot in his lifetime that probably, I think he kind of takes a lot of things for granted, where like in the off season, he's a ghost, as opposed to somebody who like Trey Lance, which is another guy they really love his attitude and his work ethic, where he's here all off season. He's calling up the wide receivers and getting them together, basically having off-season practice with those guys. So Brock Purdy has that same mentality. There's a lot that can be said about Kyle Shanahan's comments on Purdy, but it's very interesting. You have any thoughts on that? Did you hear anything about that?
Mm-mm.
No? Yeah, he said he's glad that he doesn't have to butter up Brock Purdy to coach him up. He can just get right to teaching him. But that's the thing that we've always talked about with Kyle Shanahan. He's like so emotionally awkward, so socially awkward, I should say, when it comes to having his relationships with players, man. It's just, he's very cold about the whole thing. And you can see that he got a lot of that from his father and probably the way he was raised.
Yep.
Yeah. Brian Culp, sorry to wait so long on your comment, bro. But we still love you. He says, Seattle special teams is scary. I really hope the 49ers don't give up any plays like they did last year. Those stupid fake punts for a touchdown, stuff like that. So hopefully the 49ers are on game. We have a new special teams coordinator this year. So Kyle Shanahan, I'm sure, is in his ear like, hey, look out for this. So I'm not too worried about it, but, we still got to be on our toes about it. You got any thoughts when it comes to the special teams, David?
Our special teams got some work to do. I mean, we were close to the bottom of the league in kick return coverage. Our field goal kicker is 83.9% accurate, and most of that is 38 yards or in, though. 38 yards and in, the dude's been pretty good, but that range and out, not so much. That range and out, he's literally a 50%.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I did some research before saying that. I don't just say things,
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of worried about Robbie Gould, and what if he has to hit a 48-yarder to win a game? That's gonna be my having a heart attack like Jimmy G's dropping back to throw the ball type of situation.
Oh man, he better be practicing, and he better be practicing good with his long snapper, with this placeholder. You guys better get some practice in, man. In all conditions. I know right now it's pouring down rain in California, so practice in those conditions. Whether you think it will help or not, if you do play a game in the snow, which is if we do end up going to Philadelphia, that could very well be a snow game. So even playing in the rain can prepare you better for that than playing in perfect conditions. So
go to Philadelphia. I'm hating on the Giants right now. Man. I am. I'm hating on the Giants.
I'm telling you,
you handed Philadelphia the first seed. You handed it to them.
Straight up.
For heaven's sake, you did not have to hand them the first seed.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of hoping the Giants get knocked out round one just from sitting their starters and them being rusty.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Shout out to their second and third string for the Giants, though, for still putting up some pretty good competition, I think. Too bad you guys waited till the end of the game to make it a close one, but at least you guys did it and kind of scared them a little bit. So that's good. As far as there was one thing that I saw where I want to point out where the 49ers overall, and I know this is going to be more of a special teams and defense stat, but I want to give the special team some kudos too, because they're a part of it. Mitch Wishnowsky, he's a really good punter, I think, and the 49ers are top of the league when it comes to starting field position. So when they're giving the ball to the opposing offense, those teams tend to start within their own 26. Now, when it comes to the 49ers, on the flip side, they tend to start around the 31-yard line, their own 31-yard line. So that's pretty damn good. They're leading the league in that stat. And so that's pretty promising, man. The defense and special teams working as a tandem, and of course the offense and defense working as a tandem with overturning the ball and capitalizing on that as well. So all aspects of the game are working hand in hand. So thanks, Brian. Tony Montana said, "What's good, faithful?" Hey, Tony Montana, what's up, bro? Hope you're doing good. Love the name again, as I've said before, Stevo Supremo, and I love this name too. Says Hurts was MVP running, now hurt with Lamar and Fields. Is he hurt right now? Because I know of course, he was hurt the last few weeks, but is he hurt right now? That could be huge. Uh-oh.
Justin Hurts, his shoulder was
Jalen
hurt, and I
Hurts.
thought, Justin. Did I say Justin?
Yeah. What do you mean, you people? I'm just kidding.
But Jalen Hurts, his shoulder was hurt, and when he came in and played that last game against the Giants' second and third stringers, that they only put up what, 22 points. I mean, I think Philadelphia has a problem. They're backing into the playoff.
Yeah, they're more of a defensive team. It seems like they're not as well balanced, especially when they get tested. So that's what I'm saying, man. I think they're pretenders. So I feel very confident about it. We are going to have to keep an eye on the injuries on Jalen Hurts, man, because like I said, he was hurt coming into this game the past few weeks. But I don't know if he's had any new injuries from this last game they just had against the Giants, because it was a tough fought win. David, if you would be so kind, I know you're usually like my stat guy. Would you be down to look up Jalen Hurts' injury report? See if he's on there? Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Cowboy Angel says, after 5 wins in a row, they offered him $100 million. I'm assuming you're talking about Jalen Hurts.
No,
that's happening.
No, that's Jimmy G.
Oh, Jimmy. Okay. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, man, that was crazy. I think they learned their lesson. Unfortunately for Purdy's pocket, they learned their lesson. But I'm curious to see, because that's another great point I was thinking about, was that if Brock Purdy comes out and wins a Super Bowl, what do you pay him? Because you have to give him some kind of kudos, some kind of benefit to his wallet, to give him a pat on the back for the performance that he has had at the tail end of the season, having to step in as the last pick of the draft. And if he steps in and wins a Super Bowl, man, you got to give him some incentives, some bonuses, man. So he can't just go out there and make $900,000 on the year when you got all these quarterbacks that are getting paid like $50 million, $40 million a year, and they don't win shit. What is
you
it?
Mean like Aaron Rodgers?
Like Kyler Murray? Like Kyler Murray especially, but yeah. Oh, man, those Packers, man. They really blew that. So yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think. What should we give Brock Purdy, man? I think he should get some sort of compensation if we win the Super Bowl. But regardless, man, I think they should incentivize him. David Villa says, "What's up, faithfuls?" And my man Wolf David Takayo, glad to be here. Super excited. Can't wait for Saturday. Gonna be epic. Hey, David, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it, man. And yeah, I'm really pumped up about it. I think it's going to be a really good game for the 49ers. I've been saying that you probably just joined recently, but I've been saying I think the 49ers are really going to turn it on now that it's the playoffs. I think they've been pacing themselves these last few games just to make sure they win the game. But we got Raphael 562 Niners in here. What's up, bro? Thanks for being here as always. Really appreciate you. He says like and subscribe, everyone. Yeah, please, everybody, please do that.
All right. So he sprained his shoulder of the December 18th game against the Bears.
Mm-hmm.
And the reports are that he's really sore. So even when he plays this next game, he's not going to be fully healed up.
Yeah, if you keep playing, it's not going to get better.
So. And I mean, yeah. On top of that, he had a quarterback rating. His last 2 games, he had a quarterback rating of 65, and against the Bears, that was 64.9. So pretty much 65. Yeah.
I'm smelling blood in the water, guys. I'm telling you.
Oh my.
These guys are
But, well,
pretenders, and you got them with the hurt quarterback to top it off. Ooh, I'm smelling
hey,
blood in the water.
if whatever team ends up being the lowest seed goes to Philadelphia and handles
Mhm.
business, that would be nice. I would rather play the NFC Championship game at Santa Clara versus in the Philadelphia Stadium, which is a dump. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie, it is.
Yeah. Let me see. What was I gonna say? But yeah, man, I'm smelling blood in the water. He's a young quarterback to begin with. There was something I was gonna say that was a really good point to all that. Damn it. I'm smelling blood in the water though, man. I'm ready to pounce. Um, Raphael 5629er says it's time Kyle uses Debo as a wide back. Yeah, like I said, he looked really fresh in this last game against the Cardinals. Him and Elijah Mitchell looked really good. They had a little pep in their step. So looking forward to all that stuff. I'm going to get things moving a little quicker here, guys, because we're going to close out the show before we hit the 2-hour mark. We're at an hour and 50 minutes. Like I said, as always, David, if you want to intercede at any point, feel free to do so. Even if you talk over me, it's cool because I'm going to try and get through some of these comments quick. Any other topics that I didn't get to today, I will be doing a show before the game on Saturday. So at least one show, probably two, hopefully two. So you guys count on that. But yeah, it's Debo. I'm sure he's going to be utilized as a very big weapon in the playoffs. And I think Kyle Shanahan has been using basic game plans enough to win the games, and he's going to pull some stuff out of his bag when the playoffs come around. Raphael 5629er says, who's going to stop Kittle? Here's the thing. That's a great question because you can attack it two ways. For one, probably nobody will be able to stop Kittle unless they bracket him. And if they do that, because that's one of the quarterback's best outlets is a tight end, right? So that would be Kittle. So if they bracket him, they're going to be leading themselves to more injury when it comes to other areas of the field. Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, CMC. So if you overcompensate to cover Kittle, you're going to be leaving one of these other guys open, which is not going to bode well for you. So I don't think anybody's going to be able to stop Kittle. Maybe on a play or two they will be able to, but when it comes to a whole game, I think Kittle's going to go off in the playoffs. So great question, man, because I think you can answer it on two fronts. Raphael says, will number 10 be ready to be quarterback 2 by Saturday? No, sir, he's not supposed to. I actually did hear that him and Trey Lance have both been around the locker room and stuff like that. They're both on knee scooters right now. If you guys don't know what those are, that's like almost like being on crutches, but instead it's a little like a scooter that you rest your knee on. It has a cushion. It's a seat for your knee, and you wheel around like a wheelchair and a kind of.
I want to see a race.
I'm pretty sure Trey Lance would win that race. He's the more mobile quarterback. He has longer legs. Raphael again says, will weather be a factor this weekend? I think it will, man. I don't think the 49ers are going to be able to utilize as much of their offense as they typically would be able to. But at the same time, the 49ers are more dynamic as a run team than the Seahawks are. So I think it bodes well for the 49ers, even though it does hinder their offense in some ways. That's what I think. I think David said something along the same lines, but if he wants to add anything to it, go ahead. Limping into the playoffs, he's talking about the Eagles.
Yes.
Raphael says, is Gibson the biggest surprise in defense? Yeah, I think so. Who else would be a bigger surprise?
He's been a pretty good safety throughout his whole career. And, he's 32 years old. I honestly didn't expect him to be playing this good. I expected, good veteran, presence while Jimmy Ward was out. And then when Jimmy Ward got back, there he is, plug him back in. But then Gibson played so good, we had no choice but to not put Jimmy Ward back in.
Yeah.
I have no complaint whatsoever.
I mean, I have complaints, but it's as it pertains to Hufanga, not to
Hey,
Gibson for sure. Yeah,
he's only in his second season. You know, he's got some things to learn.
yeah.
And
Gibson. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and if they watch the tape and you know he's able to correct his mistakes, that would be huge.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure. I do, Gibson does give a couple things up. One of the big things was, of course, the opening trick play from the Cardinals. He was part of the reason why that went in for a touchdown. He's a safety. That's his responsibility to make sure plays don't get out of hand. So he let that up. It didn't really happen again. So one mistake every now and then, but he did get 2 interceptions. So that's awesome. Gave up 1 touchdown, but it led to 2 interceptions as well. So maybe that's not the right wording, but you guys know what I mean. So kiss my butt. But yeah, he's one of the biggest surprises, one of the biggest acquisitions, top 2 acquisition for the 49ers this season, I think, as far as defense. Of course, Mooney Ward being the other one who was a bigger factor. That's very hard to say because as we saw in the matchup with the Seahawks, the last game, Mooney Ward basically eliminated DK Metcalf from the game. And if you let DK Metcalf go off on the offense for the Seahawks, that opens things up for everything for them. So he's an eraser, and he plays a very big role in the 49ers defense. So I think having both of those guys is making the 49ers defense worlds better. 2 difference makers. Oh yeah, this one's true. Raphael says Purdy will get sponsorship galore if he's the Super Bowl champ. I think regardless, man, I think he's a great poster boy, a great story, and I think he's going to get a lot of sponsorships and stuff like that, a lot of contracts for commercials, and hopefully he doesn't get like a Baker Mayfield, but I think he's got the right mentality if he starts getting endorsements and stuff like that.
Hey, so some of those commercials were actually kind of funny. Those Baker Mayfield commercials. Some of them were funny. Some of them.
He's one of those guys where you kind of just want to punch him in the face. So I never liked the commercials. I don't know. There's something about him that just irks me. I'm just being honest, guys. But you know what? I was going to touch on this earlier because you talked about him going to the Rams. I was rooting for him a bit to have a little bit of success because the Rams season was already over by the time he came. And I just love a good comeback story. So I don't know, man. I couldn't help but root for him a little bit. And I liked that he was there for like 2 days and still beat, I forget who it was, but he won the game. I think it was maybe the Panthers. But Cowboy Angel says, we are number 1 in the power rankings to finish the season. Exactly. I'm curious. I need to go back and check where the Vikings and Giants are because somebody was talking about the 49ers losing to the Vikings. But I think that's pretty much it, guys. Raphael already has the exact same. I'm not going to say it. Raphael already has this score prediction for the 49ers Seahawks game this Saturday, 31-17. That's a very promising and reasonable prediction. I'll talk about it when we get closer
I hope
to
we
the
don't
game.
give up. I hope we don't give up 17 points to them, but
Hopefully not, but I can very well see this scenario playing out. Maybe a touchdown in garbage time, but I know I always say that. I'm like a broken record sometimes, guys. I apologize, but I love you guys. Thank you, everybody who has tuned into the show and always supported us. And even if you're new and still support us, really appreciate it. David, my co-host, calling in. Thanks for calling in, bro. I appreciate it. Love bouncing ideas off of you. I hope everybody has a great night, man. That's the end of the show. Keep an eye out, an ear out, because I will be on Aaron 49ers First Takes on Friday night. I believe it's at 7 p.m. Pacific or 6 p.m. Pacific. So you guys keep an eye and an ear out for that. I'll be on there on Friday night. Other than that, I should be doing at least one more stream before the game on Saturday. It's a shorter week, so that's why I say one more stream. Hopefully 2. But like I said, I appreciate you guys. If you have any closing thoughts real quick, David, go ahead. But we got less than a minute left. Sorry.
So for this game, we need to assert our dominance and show the Seahawks who the daddy of the NFC West is.
100%.
And this is our chance to get a little bit of payback for the Russell Wilson era, which it's probably going to take about another 8 years to get there.
Yeah.
But now's the time.
Yes, sir. Hell yeah. All right, guys. Like I said, much love to everybody. Thank you. Everybody have a great night and take care. What is it?
Go Niners.
Go Niners.